that design. You cannot tell me that the designs back then were not better than the designs they make today. All right, guys, can we talk about a little something I got going on here? I just want to talk about what's happening with the artwork when it comes to Pokemon. You see what I got here, some of the Gen 8 Pokemon art. I purposely picked Gen 8. You can see these cutesy guys because if you didn't know, the lead artist for the first few generations, Ken Sugimori, he didn't work on the artwork for Gen 8 Pokemon. So Gen 7 was basically where he last left off. That was where he was just completely done when it came to being able to draw new kinds of Pokemon. So look at this. This is essentially what we're looking at. I mean, the art itself, it doesn't look too bad. It actually looks pretty cool. But the thing is, they don't really share that vintage look that the original Pokemons had. Like, let's go here. Let's go to the Pokemons. You can see here the 3D designs of all the Gen 8 Pokemon. Some of them look pretty cool, like the Corviknight. That looks pretty cool. But then you come down and then you start to see some of these Pokemons that like, what is this stupid Sirfetch'd looking Pokemon here? And then these Stonehenge blocks of stone Pokemon. It's just, I mean, am I being nitpicky here? I don't know. Let's take a look at the Gen 1 Pokemons. Like, look at this. Look at Bulbasaur and Venusaur. Look at Venusaur, honestly. Like, the way it just looks, especially in Pokemon Stadium, just the animation of that Pokemon, there's just something special about it. And if you're one of those people who feel like Pokemon just doesn't look the same, Pokemon has lost its touch in terms of artistic designs, you are not alone, because I feel the same way. And to be honest, it is the truth. Just take a look at this. Come on. Look at that. Look at this beautiful looking art. I'm just gonna zoom in here. Oh, I didn't zoom in. That was not me zooming in at all. So when I zoom in, it just makes it smaller. That's very cool. Can I open the image? There we go. Now we can zoom in. Okay. Why are we doing this? You know what's funny? I put an ad blocker on this website just so that I can remove ads, and now it's giving me an ad for the ad blocker. What is up with that? Anyways, look at this artwork right here. Just look at their facial expressions. There's so much emotion when it comes to the expressions of not only just the trainers themselves, but the Pokemons too. They just feel so alive. But then when you look at what they look like, where was it? All the way over here. I mean, look at that. Look at this girl's face. I mean, like, the face, there's a little bit of emotion there, but it's not the same as this. And that's where the problem lies. And that's where the separation of the feeling comes from. And there's actually a reason why this is happening. This is beyond the fact that Ken Sugimori isn't the lead artist when it comes to Pokemons. And that is pretty much, it's the fault of the Pokemon company. It's the fault of Game Freak. And honestly, I think it's the fault of every one of the executives. So this, I don't know exactly which Pokemon specifically that Ken Sugimori worked on when it comes to Gen 7. But you can see that there are some Pokemons here that look pretty cool, especially the starter Pokemons. Obviously, they're going to look pretty cool. But then some of them look kind of dumb. Like, where's that one Pokemon? I know it's this generation, isn't it? Or I guess it's not. But there's that stupid, what was it? Clinky? Oh my god, it's such a stupid looking Pokemon. And then you got this too, the sandbox Pokemon. Oh my god. There are just so many Pokemon now that don't look cool. They honestly don't look cool, and that's a huge issue when it comes to looking at these new Pokemon. You don't really get excited and you're like, oh, I wonder what these guys are gonna look like. They don't look like they're beasts. They don't look like they have much expression. Look at how the Arbok looks right here. Look at that. Look at its body. Look at its back. Look at the detail. It's so simple yet so effective, and the expression on the Pokemon just makes it seem so cool. Look at that design. You cannot tell me that the designs back then were not better than the designs they make today. And then you have some of the Pokemon manga here showing the different expressions on the Arbok's what do you call that? Its body, because they're supposed to have different patterns. And this is something that's very unique when it comes to the aesthetics. Now, Ken Sugimori, this guy right here, he was the final artist for Pokemons from Gen 1 to Gen 6. In Gen 7, he had a artist block. This guy was born in 1966. So I think he was like 47 years old when they got to Gen 7, and he just had this artist block. He couldn't be inspired to make new Pokemons. And so what happened was that he had his team create the final designs for some Pokemons in Gen 7. So this kind of illustrates the Pokemons that he created. What the heck is this Alolan Executor anyways? When I saw that Pokemon, I was like, what the heck is this? You actually designed this? Yeah, you are mentally blocked when it comes to your designs, because this is just not it. But anyways, the original art, apparently, if we look down here, it says, Sugimori's change of style over the years has been noticeable. Initially, he used a stiff, lightly shaded style using watercolors that was very reminiscent of Akira Toriyama's visual style, particularly that from 1989 onward. However, his now digitally produced drawings of people and creatures have gradually gained more muscle definition, significantly rounder corners, heavy shading, and more natural and fluid poses. So this is the reason why I say it's not that just because Ken Sugimori isn't the lead artist anymore that the designs for Pokemon left. It was actually a part of him just moving on, growing as an artist, and deciding to make changes in the way of his art style. Of course, everyone evolves over time when they're mastering a skill, but the interesting part is if you ever read manga, you can notice that they improve as an artist, but their core art style never actually changes. So it's very interesting to see that Ken Sugimori's core artistic style actually changed throughout his years as an artist. If you're one of those people that are like, hey man, Pokemon designs are not boring, they're not out of touch, they're actually still pretty cool and pretty inspirational, well, I got a few things to say about that. First of all, let's go down Gen 9, all right? We're gonna go down to the end. Wait, is this Gen 9? Yes, this is Gen 9. I'm looking for a specific Pokemon. Where is it? All right, we're not gonna start with you. We're gonna start with, oh yeah, there it is. What the heck is Iron Bundle? Iron Hands, Iron Moth, Iron Thorns. Come on, guys. What is happening when it comes to Pokemon? They look like past Pokemons. What is the inspiration? I'm gonna take a Tyranitar and make it look a little bit different. I'm just gonna name it Iron Thorns. They couldn't even bother to come up with an actual name for the Pokemon. They're just like, yeah, let's just throw two words together and then that's gonna be whatever the heck it is. And I'm speaking as someone who never played the new Pokemon games, because I pretty much played Pokemon from Gen 1 to Gen 5. I did play Gen 6, and that was the last gen of Pokemon I ever played, and it took me a year to beat the game because I was just not interested in playing the game. And so I never actually played Gen 9 Pokemon. There was no way I was going to buy any of those games because of the way they looked. And I played Poke Rogue, and so at a certain point, I started to encounter these Pokemons, and I'm just like, what the heck is Iron Moth and Iron Hands and Iron Bundle and Iron Treads? Because these Pokemons would pop up, and I just thought that they were just made up Pokemons specifically for that game. I had no idea that these were real Pokemons. I didn't know that. And then coming to actually see this with my own eyes, I realized that there was a lot of artistic inspiration that was lost in Pokemon. There was just, it's not just the artistic touch, it's the name of the Pokemons too. Because why would you create these Pokemons that are actually not their original derived Pokemons? Why would you say that these are actual different Pokemons and have them as new Pokemon entries in the Pokédex if they're gonna be completely different Pokemons? This just goes to show, let me just create something that looks similar so I don't have to actually come up with a completely new concept. And by way of that, I just want to go through some thoughts. So there's this little blog here, and I'm not going to read it all because it'll take a little bit of time. But the first part says, I was just thinking when looking at the Pokemon site after watching the latest Pokemon Direct, this is from 2023, everything about the series art now just feels very safe, or maybe corporate for a lack of a better word. More specifically, the artwork almost feels too refined, which I'm sure is an odd criticism. Now, this guy here, he goes off to show off the artwork of Ken Sugimori's early works. And as you can see, it looks amazing. Look at the facial expressions here. Very intense, very expressive, very interesting looking Pokemons with a lot of details. The details also look very animalistic, which is something that the new Pokemon aesthetic have lost. They've lost the beast look, and they've gone for something that's a little bit more, I wouldn't say corporate, it's just less interesting, less unique. And then, to tie it all back, Ken Sugimori's earliest artwork. Look at these Pokemons. Look at that. They look so odd. And this is something that we'll never ever be able to see again. We're never going to see these intense expressions on these people, on these creatures. That kind of artwork, that kind of passion is already lost because they have outsourced that creative liberty, that standard that only one person, one unique person can ever have. And they've outsourced that to others. And the funny thing is, there's like this page where a guy is just like, oh, Pokemon developer Game Freak is looking for new staff, looking to hire for 37 positions, increasing their workforce by almost 20%. So, I mean, good for them. They're able to grow their company. But the thing is, yeah, they're just adding a bit more people to do a bit more work. But that kind of art that we saw back in the 90s and the early 2000s, they are a remnant of the past. And as the original guys who opened up this company, as those guys are aging out because they're in their 60s and eventually they're going to retire, everything that they built will be developed into something completely new. So the Pokemon of the past that we all grew up and loved will be just that. They'll be a remnant of the past. And the future is going to bring on something completely different, and perhaps we'll just have to make do with what we'll get.